There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding music education and its future in a socially distanced school system. The same can be said for the 2020 marching band season. While many of the details may be out of your control, there are some actions you can take to make sure you survive this. We got those coming up for you next. Hey, welcome back to the Studio 14 Sessions. I'm JR, and in this session, the crew's got 5 tips, 5 actions you can take going into the 2021 school year to not just survive, but succeed. So let's jump right in. Tip number 1, plan ahead.
I think I think it's going to be very important that directors, chorus, and just all arts teachers have a plan in place or some suggestions in place. Because if you don't, upper leadership, regardless of whatever district you're talking about, will have something in play that probably might work for a core classroom, but it doesn't make any sense in an arts classroom. And so, thinking about how your arcs might be, will you be doing like a circle ensemble where you can expand the circle, or like Chris and I was talking about my last year at West Boca, I set up in those long lines and use the squares on the floor as the space. I think we're going to have to just start thinking about in that mindset before someone tells us what to do. I do think that, Larry, you're onto something where we might have to do a block scheduling. And I think when counselors start looking at this, they're not going to think about, wind ensemble students here, second band here, jazz band here. They're going to just be putting kids wherever they can to work.
Right.
We're going to have to just kind of be ready for that.
Having a plan is extremely important. Plan to present ideas to your administration in case they ask for your input. Plan to have something to fall back on in case they don't ask you and their solutions just don't work for you. Tip number 2, recruit.
To tag on that, I think it's also important that, and we don't normally do this, but we got to still recruit the first couple weeks of school. It can't just be like,
Right.
Okay, August 1st, that's it, we're done. If you're not here, sorry, kid, I'll put you in the pit maybe. I mean, it's going to be the first, because again, those kids that do go away, then once their friends are back, hey, go get Billy, go get Bobby. He needs to come back, and hopefully your guidance will work with you. Hopefully your school will be cool. But it might even be the 5th week of school, you're still getting kids in the band that just went away, and hopefully you're going to bring them back in. So I think being flexible and not being, this is what we have and we're going, you're going to, more than ever this year, you're going to need that.
In the last session, we discussed how kids are becoming detached and beginning to lose interest. But don't give up on them. Give them a chance to remember why they loved it in the first place. Welcome them back no matter how far into the school year you've made it. How those kids are treated and welcomed back is going to set the tone for all the other kids that left or never joined in the first place and are kind of hesitant to come back, and they kind of want to see how things go and like, I don't think they're going to allow me to come back in. No, you open your arms as wide as you can and you welcome back every single one of those kids. Everyone else will see it and be like, you know what? We're 6 weeks into the school year, but maybe I can still be in band. You got to keep welcoming them in no matter what. Tip number 3 is on student leadership.
Right, Luke and I talked about this, was it today or yesterday? Yesterday. That don't be in a hurry. One of the things we're doing is, usually we're in a hurry to name them because we start like spring training like in May. Well, we're not starting spring training in May, so you could hold off to see what it might be a little longer. I told the kids that. Also, we pick drum majors early because they go to drum major camp. There's no drum major camp to go to. So you can kind of...
You could even go end of May, beginning of June, really, and be safe.
In a previous session, we discussed the importance of handling student leadership the right way. You can click on it up here if you missed it and go check out what we discussed in that one. So going back to tip number 1, have a plan. Know the direction you want to go in for your student leadership. Tip number 4 is on show planning.
I don't want to doom and gloom it too much, but almost say like, all right, let's assume there's no marching band. Now, what's your plan?
No, you need to assume if there is, if there isn't, and everything in between. That's pretty much. I laid out 4 plans for my band parents and the kids this week. Plan A, everything is normal, which I doubt. Plan D, no marching band. and then 2 in between. If you're a marching band director out there, go ahead and plan. You got planned for a show. Plan an easy MPA halftime type show. Don't spend the money on drill, flags, props, all that stuff. It's just I don't know.
You're going to want to have a plan in place. Going full out on a competitive marching show, you're going to be taking a huge chance this year. So again, we reference back to tip number 1. What's your plan? What's your plan B? What's your plan C? Right? Plan your marching show with those in mind. So before we get to that last tip, if you're finding this video helpful, hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the future content we have coming out for you. Tip number 5 is flexibility.
I'll just say one last thing is I think flexibility is key. I think as band directors, I think sometimes we're the most flexible people in the world. And I think sometimes we have a tendency just to kind of like dig our heels into certain things. And I think at least for the foreseeable future, at least in the next school year, we're going to have to be way more flexible than we're used to, and just be able to roll with the punches and do what's best for the kids and the community.
For sure. It's going to be more about family and belonging than it is about playing well, at least for a little while.
Each of the tips we've given you is going to be extremely important. But tip number 1, having a plan. We keep coming back to this one. This one has to be your foundation that you lay all your other plans on top of. Thanks for taking the time to watch. See you next time.